Listen, man, 80% of the problems you think you have are not real. Let me repeat that again. 80% of the problems you think you have don't even exist. Well, they do exist, but simply because you're letting them. You are fabricating your reality in a way which means you're thinking of yourself and you're thinking of your future and making all these situations up in your head, and it's causing problems that are affecting your real life. It's affecting the way that you feel on a regular basis. It's affecting the way you act. It's affecting your relationships. And simply because you are perceiving what you think you need to do in a certain way, you think you need to accomplish this by this age and be making 10K a month by the age of 16, and you think if you don't do these things that life is going to end, or you think if you're not successful at this by this certain time, and you're placing all these time constraints on yourself, trying to keep working on them and keep working super hard to accomplish all these goals, but you're doing it out of fear and it's causing you more problems. You're trying to solve problems that don't even exist by simply creating more problems for yourself. Now, the thing is, I'm not saying don't work hard. I am an advocate to work as hard as you possibly can on things that you're genuinely passionate about. But what I am not an advocate of is just simply working hard at something to become successful at it, and simply working hard at something because you want to grind and like you gotta get that, get all the things that give you validation and do it all for the wrong reasons. Work hard at something you're extremely passionate about, but do it in the right way, and you will be successful at anything you want. You just need to take some time and accept the fact that it's not the end of the world if things go wrong, and it's not the end of the world if you don't accomplish what you think you need to in order to be successful. A lot of the problems that we have come from placing these expectations on ourselves of achieving this by this time. Whether it comes from the amount of money we want to make or what career path we need to get into, the fear of not doing it is what causes us to have a lot of stress in our life. It causes us to avoid doing things that we know we should be doing, like habits like that actually are productive for us, like taking care of our mental and physical health and spending time with people we care about. But we're putting all this expectation and all this work in to things out of fear. The main reason a lot of people work hard is out of fear. They work hard at stuff because they're afraid they're not good enough. That's what I used to do with a lot of different things. I worked so hard at basketball and music, and it was all, for the longest time, I was out of fear because I wanted to get good so I could impress people and finally feel like I was good enough to be around people and feel accepted. But the thing is, as long as you have that mindset, you're never going to feel good enough. Your success will never be enough. Nothing you ever do will feel like it's worth it, because there's always more to get. There's always someone who's better than you. There's always more points to score. There's always an extra thing to do. And if you don't actually take some time and fix your mind first and get yourself right and actually give yourself what you need in order to be fulfilled and like just have a good quality of life, then there's no point in working so hard out of fear, because you're working so hard at something and you're afraid that if you don't get it. And what often happens, if we're so afraid of something and we're afraid that this certain outcome is going to happen, most likely that outcome is actually going to happen. We've probably had friends who are so nervous that they're going to fail their test, and they're preparing just in order not to fail. I just got to pass. I need 51%. I can't fail. Or a lot of times I see this with driver's tests. People are always trying to, other people are always so scared of failing. And what actually happens, since they're so stressed out about what's going to happen if they fail, they end up failing anyway. And it's because what they wanted to happen the least, they're thinking and obsessing about it so much and visualizing it in their mind and training their brain to see that outcome. And then that's all their brain knows, so that outcome actually happens. Because in this life, if you're watching a video like this and you resonate with the things that I'm talking about, you can pretty much do anything you want. No matter what career path you want to go down, no matter what you want to get good at, I know that you're going to be capable of doing it. I know you're going to have the work ethic and put the time in, and I know you're going to be successful on your path. You got this. But the thing is, you just need to detach from this idea that you're a failure if you don't achieve everything by a certain time, because sometimes you do fail at stuff. Sometimes things don't go the way you expected, but that's part of life. You need to be willing to accept the fact that things aren't always gonna go the way that exactly you see them going, and oftentimes that's a blessing. For me, a thing that really was always what I focused on when I was going through like the start of middle school till about like the middle of high school was basketball. All I wanted to do was be a good basketball player. I'd spend like 4 or 5 hours a day, every single day practicing, going out for runs in the morning just to train, just to have better endurance for basketball. Everything I did was in turn trying to get me to be a better basketball player because I wanted to play at university. I wanted to get a scholarship. And eventually my love for basketball just kind of fizzled out, but I was still under the impression that I needed to be a basketball player, even though my passion and my purpose had shifted to music, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't let myself shift to that like way because I was so obsessed with that vision that I had of myself being a basketball player and playing at university. And when I eventually just got to the point where I couldn't like take it anymore because I just didn't enjoy playing basketball anymore, like it felt like this burden on my life that I just really didn't want to do anymore, even though I still did it. It just got me to that point where I just gave it, like life kind of took me away from it anyway and put me on the path that was going to make me a lot happier. And now thinking back in retrospect, I am so much happier that I chose music because of what it can do for my future, which I didn't see at the time because I was so set on that goal of playing at university. But then what would happen after university? I worked super hard, and even say I did get a scholarship, play for 4 years, then not put too much focus on that degree that I take, then I have to work at a job that I don't really like, or maybe not even have a degree and be in the wrong field that's like just doesn't resonate with me, simply because I wanted to play basketball. But now with music, there are so many different ways I can pursue it in my future and so many different avenues it can take me down, and I'm so glad I made that decision. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't eventually just let myself surrender to the flow that life was trying to take me down. Now I'm not saying just become a victim of your circumstance and just like think like if you feel like not exercising, I'm not going to exercise because I'm surrendering to life. That's not what I mean. But be okay with the fact that life is not always going to go the way that you want it to. It's not always going to be perfect because nothing ever is. And the final point that I want to make in this video is that failure doesn't really exist unless you let it. Like a lot of your problems, which you're always conceiving and you're always making up, and they just come from your own mind. It's also the way that we look at failure. Failure is only a construct of our mind, just like fear. It doesn't actually exist unless we let it. And the way that I approach failure is that it's just that extra step forward. You only fail, in terms of my opinion, you only fail when you really quit something out of fear or just laziness, I guess. But in terms of failures or things that don't go right, like mistakes, you're always building on them. You're not necessarily failing unless you deem it to be a failure and you completely give up. As long as you can take that and learn from it, you're gonna get better because you needed that failure. You needed to make that mistake so that you could be better prepared in the future, and then you can actually accomplish what you set out to do. And as long as you're willing to build on that foundation of failures, you're gonna keep failing forward and eventually get to where you wanna go. With that being said, if you don't know already, my name is Colby Wallace. I'm an 18-year-old artist from Canada, currently traveling in Australia. And if you like the content I post, want more videos on how to improve yourself, and want to maybe hear some of my original music, might as well subscribe. Not sure what you're waiting for. It's a win for you, it's a win for me. And if you want to join our community on how to beat your phone addiction, there's a link for that in the description, completely free. Also, if you want to hear my original music, that is in the description as well. And with that being said, never stop creating, my friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.